this is Caitlin, your host of the NoSleep4Dramas Podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Welcome to the first ever episode of the NoSleep4Dramas Podcast. I cannot believe I said that sentence out loud. If you talked me into doing this podcast, thank you. As you may know, especially if you're the ones that convinced me to finally start a podcast, I thought I would never have a podcast. I thought I would never do one. I was content with writing my blog, and I was content with guesting on other people's podcasts. But I've been writing the blog now for 4 years. It was 2020 when I started, so it will be 4 years at the August of 2024. That will be the start of the 5th year, I think. I've been writing that blog for a while. I love it. I love writing blogs. As the years gone by, though, I've met a ton of people, and I've met a community of podcasters who are all supportive of each other, including myself. And basically, they've worn me down, and I've finally started my own podcast. So for people who don't know me, my name is Caitlin. I am now your host for the NoSleep4Dramas podcast. I'm also the blogger for NoSleep4Dramas.com, and I am an avid Asian drama watcher. I have been watching dramas for over 15 years, and now I'm going to explain what you are going to be hearing in this episode. This is an intro episode, so as I just introduced myself, we can cross that off the list. We will be talking about my history of watching dramas. We will be talking about a little history of the creation of my blog and how I became an Asian drama content creator in general. And then how this podcast came into being. And then we'll go into more about me, like my likes, my dislikes, and also what you can expect from this podcast. Feel free to leave a comment on any of my socials when these episodes go live, or comment on this episode. I love talking dramas with people, and I would love to hear your thoughts on and your feedback on this first episode or episodes to come, because I hope to be doing this a long time. So, my history for watching dramas. Yes, it was over 15 years ago I started watching Asian dramas. I was in that era where you found episodes of Korean dramas specifically split up into bajillion clips on YouTube, all in a playlist, and you could watch them clip by clip by clip and watch the entire episode. So I was bored one day, and I found Boys Over Flowers in that format, and I watched the entire drama in that format. It was 5-minute clips, maybe 10-minute clips or something. So that was me discovering. Sorry, my cat's coming in. Yes, I have a cat. But that was me discovering Asian dramas. I found Boys Over Flowers in a bajillion clips on YouTube. So I only watched Korean dramas for a good 5 years, and then I watched my first Chinese drama, which was Memory Lost. It's a wacky crime drama. I have a lot of nostalgia when I still watch it. And then I started watching Thai dramas, Japanese dramas, Taiwanese dramas, all the dramas. I even got into daily Korean dramas, which are the 100+ episode Monday through Friday dramas. I finally started watching those as well. So currently I watch everything. I primarily love crime dramas or makjang, or crazier the drama the better. But I do love a good romance too. And I do love a good thriller and all that stuff. Slice of life is really kind of the only genre I kind of like, and I kind of dislike, depending on what I'm watching. Same with medical. I don't watch a lot of medical, but I try all of them. I do have found some medical dramas and some slice of life dramas that I love. So my motto is I will try everything once, But I also have been watching dramas for many years, and I know from trailers and stuff at this point that I should not click play on something if I know I'm going to drop it or know I'm not going to like it. So I still watch a variety of stuff, and I enjoy a variety of stuff. You just never really know what's on my watch list. So that's a little history of my discovery of dramas, watching dramas. The history of my blog now. My blog was created in 2020. It was a pandemic project. I remember I was in a Twitter chat of another blog. This blog hosted a monthly Twitter chat, and one of the questions was name a podcast or blog or people you follow to read or listen to about Asian dramas. And multiple people named me. And I'm like, why do you guys name me? Like, I don't have a blog. I don't have a podcast. I don't have anything that you could get information from other than this Twitter account that I had. And that whole conversation had people reach out to me who already had their own YouTube channels. K3, thank you very much. If you guys don't know, the K3 is a YouTube channel that talk about Korean dramas. I used to have a blog on their website, and they reached out to me in 2020, and they were like, "Hey, we have a blog that no one's writing. Would you be interested in doing the Korean blog for us?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? I have nothing to do. I love writing." So I did that for multiple months, and then I decided to start No Sleep for Dramas to talk about all the other dramas I was watching that were not Korean. So that is how No Sleep for Dramas came about, and I have now been working on that blog for 4+ years now. I think as I said, the 5th year will start in August, and I love it. I don't think I will stop blogging. But how this podcast came about. 2024 was coming up, and I basically was like, I want to do something more than just blog, but I don't really know what. So originally, my plan was to start a Twitch channel and kind of do like a talk show about dramas where people can come in, and it's a live show, so people would have running chats on the Twitch channel, and I would respond to them, and that might still happen. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do that, but I was talking to multiple people on social media, and they were all like, "Why don't you start a podcast? Like, multiple people want you to start a podcast. We think you'll be great at it." And due to these wonderful people, I finally caved, and here we are. I'm recording my first episode. So, shout out to Kdrama Musings, the Swoon Diaries, Daebak Podcast, and Tea Soju Podcast. That's Daebak K-Rambles, if you want to be specific. All of those are great Asian drama podcasts. I've guested on all of them, and they all kind of wore me down and basically made me decide to start this podcast. So that is how this podcast came into being. You can find all of those podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I have guest episodes, I think, on most of their podcasts, if not all. I don't remember if I have them on all of them, but they're all great. If you want to go listen to them, I highly recommend. But that's kind of how this podcast came into being. People just were like, you want to do it, you want to do more, you would be great at it. And people would listen to it. So here we are. And honestly, now that I'm recording the first episode, I'm happy they did wear me down, and I'm happy they did convince me. It's funny because I have multiple chats with these people, these wonderful people on Instagram, and it was like a span of 24 hours where I'm like, guess what I'm doing? And I told them about my Twitch idea. And then I started like thinking about other stuff, and then I was like, should I do a podcast? And they all of these chats are full of videos, like not videos of like voice recordings of myself talking with myself, convincing myself to start this podcast. So I kind of use them as a sounding board and sort of convince myself, but then they also convinced me by their response to this stream of consciousness I sent them in all of these voice messages. So thank you to everybody who had to listen to my rant and voice messages about my dilemma of starting a podcast, because you guys really were instrumental on getting me to click record on this first episode. So, speaking of myself, as I stated earlier in this episode, I love crime dramas. I love thriller dramas, so I'm always watching those types of dramas. I'm also always watching a makjang, or I tend to be watching like a crazy makjang most of the time, or like cheating scandal dramas all the time. But I also do love a good romance drama. I also do love a good like family drama too. It just depends. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a mood watcher, but I sort of am. It really just depends on what I want to click play on. But I try to watch a variety of things, both for myself, because I have found that if I'm watching too much of one drama, like genre, I get bored of that genre, and we don't want that to happen. We want to continue watching all the genres. But I also have found myself that, like, when I get bored of something, I don't watch it anymore. So I might watch a ton of crime dramas, and then maybe I'll get bored of the crime genre and I'll switch to something else, maybe only watching one crime drama and then watching a ton of romance or something. I don't know. So I tend to try and do a variety of stuff. But at the same time, variety is good for you guys too, because I try to make a point that with the variety that I'm watching at all times, I try to watch stuff that other people might not have heard of, might not have seen, might not be watching, because we all know there's so many Asian dramas all the time. You have to pick and choose your battles here. At least I've learned over the course of my drama watching. I can't watch 17 dramas anymore at one time. I have to pick and choose and then maybe go back to another drama that I skipped earlier in the year. So I tend to try and only watch 8 to 10 dramas at a time, because I can't binge. I do not do well binging one drama at a time. So I kind of hop around. But I try to give that variety so you guys, as listeners or readers of my blog, will have a variety to choose from if you're looking for a new drama. So that's kind of the plan with the podcast, really. I do like a variety of stuff, so I plan to present to you in a podcast, and as well as my blog, the variety that I plan to watch or I am watching. I'm not planning on shutting down the blog at all. I plan on writing stuff. So really, this podcast is going to work in 2 ways. One, it's a expansion of what is already on the blog. So, for example, I do a "What am I currently watching" blog post. That will be a podcast episode. Or what did I watch in the last month, and what am I looking forward to in the month coming up. That was a blog post. It will now be a podcast episode. So you'll kind of be able to read along with my podcast episode, or you can just listen to it and not go to the blog, or vice versa, whatever. So, but at the same time, my podcast episodes Like, for example, I feel like last year in 2023, and one of my goals for 2024 is to do more drama reviews. I feel like last year I didn't do a lot of drama reviews on the blog because it takes time. Like, it takes time to get my thoughts together, to write the blog posts and do that type of stuff. So I figured maybe on the podcast I can do more reviews and maybe not have to write all of them out on the blog. Maybe I'll write one here and then do the other drama that I finished in that same week as a podcast episode. Kind of divvy up the work, you know. But that allows me to do more drama reviews that I had in the past year. At least I feel like I have not done as many drama reviews as I would have liked. Also, one thing with a blog too, and I've learned this because I've done it myself, I love guesting on other people's podcasts. I love being a guest. I love talking with people. And with a blog, you kind of throw all of the stuff you like into the internet and hope that somebody responds back or comments or messages me on a social media and kind of is like, hey, I loved your review of this, or hey, I loved your blog post series on this, or blah blah blah. And I liked being a guest on somebody's podcast episode because I got that reaction like right away from the host, you know. So eventually I would love to be like have guests on this podcast as well. Currently I'm planning on only doing myself because I need to get the hang of this and be comfortable enough with recording. But I do plan on having guests, especially because I've been a guest on other people's podcasts for so many times. I kind of feel like I need to return the flavor. So down the line, expect guests. If you have been a longtime reader of my blog and you want something as a podcast episode, you can always comment and let me know. And I might try something new. I might do some comparison stuff because I have ideas for the blog I just have never done. Like, for example, I love the Korean drama Signal, and I actually have never seen the Japanese drama Signal. And I would love to watch both of them and then do a comparison. So maybe that's a podcast episode, or I'll do like a one-off podcast episode. But you will always get the end of the month podcast episode of what I watched in that month and what I plan to watch. And you will also get what am I currently watching as well as a podcast episode. So look forward to those. I also have not figured out the schedule for my episodes yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to do one a week or one every other week. So we'll have to see how that goes. Again, because I'm still going to be writing for the blog. I don't want to overwhelm myself. But granted, I think talking into the mic, I might become more comfortable with it. I mean, I have to an extent because I've, again, guested on other people's podcasts, but it all depends on the process. I have to decide how many I'm going to put out, whether it's every other week or weekly. But let's be honest, it probably will be weekly because I know myself. I know myself enough that it probably will be weekly, but it will definitely at least be every other week, if not weekly, but we'll have to decide on that. What else can I talk about on the intro? Let's see. Some of my favorite dramas. I'll do that. Some of my favorite dramas we'll do every country. So, the Korean dramas I love is Stranger, or what was the other name of it? Stranger was 2017, I want to say. Yes, 2017, also known as Secret Forest. That is one of my favorite Korean dramas. I loved Misty until the very end. I will say that right now. Voice season 1, only season 1. A romance I loved was recent romance. Recent romance, Tale of Nokdu. I love Tale of Nokdu. Um, what are some other recent ones? Flower of Evil's a good recent Korean drama. Player, Beyond Evil. As you can see, I watch a lot of crime dramas. I mean, a lot of my favorites are crime dramas. In terms of Chinese dramas, as I said, my first ever Chinese drama was Memory Lost, and that is a crime drama. It's a pretty wacky crime drama, but nostalgia and all. I mean, that was in 2016, I think. So I must have watched that in 2016, 2017. I don't even know. But some of my other favorite Chinese dramas are One and Only. That was a 2021 drama. Murderous Affair in Horizon Tower. The Lost Tomb series. My Roommate is a Detective. Under the Power. Of course, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. Maiden Homes. Reset. I mean, I have a ton of Chinese dramas I love. Let's see. Japanese dramas. I love Erased. That's on Netflix. It's a crime drama. I love what was the popular one in like 2019, 2020? Oh, Hey Sensei, Don't You Know? I love that Japanese drama. A recent one from like 2022 is He's Expecting. That was a fun one. And then, of course, Alice in Borderland. I love Alice in Borderland. Let's see. Taiwanese dramas. I actually have watched less Taiwanese dramas than other countries, but my first Taiwanese drama was Someone Like You, which from 2015. I adore that, even though it's probably older. I mean, it's obviously older. It's made in 2015, but I don't know. I haven't watched it recently, so I don't know if it has stood the test of time. But I adore that drama. Recently, though, Before We Get Married was a very crazy mahjong Taiwanese drama, and I absolutely loved it. Green Door, that's on Netflix. Ghost Bride on Netflix. The Victims Game on Netflix. A recent 2023 Taiwanese drama, which is probably one of the best Taiwanese dramas I've ever watched, was Oh No, Here Comes Trouble. Highly recommend that drama if you can find it. It's on iQIYI. Let's see. Thai dramas. I have not watched a ton of Thai dramas. I will say that now. That was my last country I started watching, and that was only like 2020, 2019, I want to say. But my first Thai drama was Until We Meet Again, I think. I might have watched like a BL before that, but Until We Meet Again is probably one of my favorite Thai dramas. My first Lockhorn though, which I watched in 2021, was The Last Promise. It's on YouTube. I absolutely love it. I love Tor. He's one of my favorite Thai actors, so I will watch him in anything. Midnight Museum from 2023. Yeah, 2023 was really good. Between Us, because it was a spin-off of Until We Meet Again, was really good. I mean, I might be a little biased with that because, they were my favorite couple and Until We Meet Again, and it was their spin-off and their drama, so I might be a little biased with that a little bit. But yeah, with Thai dramas, I haven't watched as many as others. I think the countries I watched the most from were Korean and China, I want to say. Yeah, I can safely say that. Because the other ones I kind of like Japanese, it was so hard to find them for the longest time, and then they recently have started coming more to streaming sites and stuff, and then Thai dramas, I honestly just didn't know where to find them until I found that they were on YouTube. So that was one thing. And the Taiwanese, I think I just didn't click play on them a lot. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why I don't watch more Taiwanese dramas. I should, because I like all of them that I've watched. But yeah, that's kind of a little intro to the podcast, a little intro about me, a little intro of what I plan to do for this podcast and the future of this podcast. But if you have any suggestions that you want to see on the podcast, I would greatly appreciate you messaging any of my socials or maybe even leaving a comment somewhere. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about all I have to say on introducing myself. I'm really glad I actually started recording this podcast, and I really hope this grows into something that you and I can both appreciate, and we can use this as another channel to communicate and talk about our love for Asian dramas, because God knows we don't have enough already, and we can always use one more. So thank you very much. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under the username NoSleep4Dramas. That is NoSleep4Dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.NoSleep4Dramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.